ball and sticks right there. Well, that's not. Technically, golf's not supposed to be played like this, that way. But it wasn't supposed to be played like they played in Washington last year at the U.S. Open. I don't know if some of you saw that. Of course, it was all brown. I mean, to me, that's not golf. But anyway, you got to have some green, right? It's grass, it's a living thing. You got to have a little bit of green. So that's one thing we did about 6 or 7. Thanks for bringing that up. 6 or 7 years ago to improve the quality of the greens, to kind of make them a little, because now, you know, let's just say you water the fairways and the tee boxes, you water them, let's just say, you know, 20 minutes a day in the middle of the summer. Well, the putting greens, you only have to water them maybe 10 minutes every 3 days, or 5 minutes every other day, because it's a different type of grass. But to use that grass all over the golf course would not be cost effective, because you'd have to spend a lot more money, because it's very susceptible to diseases. The lower you cut the grass, believe it or not, it's more susceptible. So if you got grass in your yards and it's a couple inches, it's fine. But when you cut it down to 1/10 of an inch, it's kind of like putting on this, on the carpet here. It's got to get stressed out. It gets very susceptible to heat and to diseases and stuff like that. So it's it's a very expensive type of grass to maintain. It doesn't cost more to buy the grass to install it, just it costs a lot more to maintain. So, and that's one thing we've kind of worked on. Yes, sir.
So you mentioned you guys are associated with the Pueblo, just like Sandia and maybe Twin Warriors. Do you
Yes,
guys
sir.
have the issues like some of the other courses with water, like Ladera, what's the other one, Rio Rancho?
No, not really. We kind of have our own wells. So.
Yeah. Is it unlimited, almost the water you could use?
I don't know if I should really answer that. But we do, I will say one thing, that we do have more turf than anybody. We have 220 acres of turf. And we've been, the last couple of years, we've been, and we're going to keep doing this every year. It's kind of reducing some of our turf.
Yeah.
Some of the areas that aren't in play, we've, a couple areas on a couple of holes, we pulled the turf out. We put drip irrigation, and then we put some plants and we put some rocks.
But you guys don't have the restrictions or have to pay for it like some of the other courses, right?
In a manner of speaking, the tribe takes care of all that.
Yeah.
The tribe takes care of that for us. So, but we are being more conscious so on the water, because try to use less water, but actually, because you got to pay to pump it, you got to pay for it, you got to pay to fertilize it, you got to pay to mow it, and then the more you mow it, you get more your mowers, you get more wear and tear on your mowers. So that's one of the efforts we're trying to make, is trying to cut down some of the turf. Because when they built us 20 years ago, I guess they just decided just to put all this turf all over the place, make it like almost like a park. Call it kind of a parkland courses, where courses in like Arizona are limited to, I think their 18 holes is limited to like 90 acres of turf. Yeah, and I think Sandia is pretty close to that 95 acres, and I think Twin Warriors is pretty close to that. And I know Santa Ana, because they were built a couple years before us, they have a lot of turf too. So that's one thing we're trying to do, is trying to reduce some of that. But the issues with that is you still got to put something there. You got to put plants, you got to put rocks, you got to put crusher fines. You just can't take the turf out and let it, because it looks horrible. So that's one thing we're trying to do. We're going to continue to do that, and kind of go through that process to make it more aesthetic and more energy efficient. Yes, sir.
Now, I know I've been there on a couple of the holes that surround the Rio Grande. There's mosquitoes like everywhere. Is there
Oh, I grew up in Michigan. These aren't mosquitoes. Really?
Do y'all do anything to try to?
That's one thing we've kind of had an issue with over the years, kind of where they built the golf course. There's a couple of channels that kind of go through there. we've had some beaver issues of damming stuff up, so we've had to break the dams to get the water. The lower holes it's a very high water table. If you dig down a couple feet, you hit water. And then when we irrigate in the summer, then you kind of get more water, and it's more of the standing water and kind of those areas down there. So we've tried to kind of push some of that water out. We've actually, there's some pellets and stuff like that you can do that you can throw in the water that'll supposedly kill the larvae, kill the mosquito larvae. And I know there's some fish too that'll eat the larvae, that we kind of have some of those down there. But it's just kind of one of those things where, like last year was really bad because we had a wet spring. We had a lot of rain in May, and all of a sudden then you get in July when it gets 90, 95, and you're gonna get mosquitoes. And we actually do, in the past we've kind of given some bug spray and stuff like that out, just to help the golfers with the mosquitoes. It's just kind of one of those things where they built the golf course. Now if they would have built it up here behind the casino, we probably wouldn't have had that issue. But you got the fishing lakes below us at the lakes, and then you got 3 of our lakes, and then you got kind of some low areas where the water kind of sits, and then you got some irrigation kind of canals that go to the tribe. So it's just, we try to do our best. It's just kind of one of those things that you wish you could eradicate it, but it's just kind of Mother Nature. So.
Yeah. Do you guys have the infrastructure to use gray water for watering your grass?
They actually, the tribe actually does have a station that they do. They've talked about giving us some of that, giving us some of that water.
So it could be implemented?
Yeah, it could be implemented. Yeah, they'd have to make that call on their own though, on whether they wanted to do that. Yes.
What is the water that's just sprayed out south of the?
That's the water.
That is the good
Yeah,
one?
that's
But where does that water go? It just looks like it's going into the field.
Yes. It's the water that from their treatment plant that they're not allowed to put, I guess, back in the river, would be my guess.
They'd have to have a permit.
Yeah, so they'd have to have a permit, so they have to do something with it, so they just water the desert out there. That's way over my head, so. Did you?
Yeah, I was going to ask, in general, the scheme of Isleta, resort, let's say.
Mhm.
Golf seems to be an important profit center, because you have the gambling, you have shows,
Mhm.
you have food, maybe. I mean, so golf is one of your top
Yeah,
quote-unquote
golf.
profit centers.
From before I got here, what I understand, they were talking about, Isleta was talking about a golf course way back in the late '60s, early '70s. But then I guess it didn't really come to fruition until they got into gaming. And then they always had the fishing lakes. Fishing lakes, I think, has been there for 30-some years. But kind of once they got into the gaming, then they decided to build a golf course, kind of like what Santa Ana has. And I guess the Mountain Gods, they've had theirs for quite a while too. So, whenever some of the tribal officials they go places, that's one of the first things they always bring up. Oh, we played your golf course. You got a nice golf course. And so it's kind of a status, kind of a stature thing to have a golf course. It's almost it's been 20 years, and we've had a lot of people come play, and it just kind of. And then when they finally built the hotel, it made everything kind of come full circle with the gaming, the hotel, the fun connection, the bowling, the old casino. It's a bowling alley for the kids, and then the golf course and the fishing lake. So we're kind of a full service kind of resort. And there's very few places, probably in the Southwest that have everything we have here at Isleta. So it's a really nice compliment to everything.
What's the operating budget of golf course, generally speaking?
For a golf course, probably the city courses is probably